Why did Cathy Madeo have to be successful in her career? Stay tuned to find out why during the rest of the episode. Welcome back to part 2, How to Rebrand Yourself, a conversation with Cathy Madeo on No More Distractions podcast with Namaste City. During part 1 of this interview, Cathy explains what she did to fill in the gap in the online yoga industry market and how she provided something different to the community. During this episode, Cathy gives some advice on when is the right time to sell your products on social media and how important it is to build credibility for yourself in order to succeed in a very saturated market. She also shares with us her fun journey with TikTok and her everyday life as an entrepreneur.
Do you have any general advice for people that are starting now and have like one product for the most part or one kind of service that they're trying to offer out there, but it's really, really hard because right now it's like it's so saturated. It's so hard to distinguish yourself from everybody else. So anything that you can think of that you can share with us. I mean, obviously this experience you had is one of them.
I think one of the things that I did that served me well in this last evolution of me is, and this is something I actually learned from going back to school at such great institutions. What they teach you is in order to push anything forward, you have to find the gap in what's out there. So that's why I sat back when everyone was like teaching the free classes and like, oh my gosh, I just sat back and I just watched what was happening. And I asked myself, where is the gap? And so when I went and I looked at and did my market research on what teacher trainings were out there online, I found the gap, what I thought was a gap, which was there's not any high quality videos. People haven't adapted their teacher trainings to online education. And so I filled that gap, right? And so if you are someone who has a product or service, I would recommend if you want it to succeed, one of the things to do is ask yourself, is it filling a gap or is it just another thing that, Sam over there has? Right? So are you offering something new to your community? Are you up-leveling things? Because if you're not, you're right, it's very saturated out there. The other thing that I see, because again, I really observe a lot of this stuff, is a lot of the newer people coming on to social media. And it's just like what you're saying, going through COVID with everyone going online in some ways leveled the playing field because you see a lot of fitness and yoga people, they stopped going with other platforms because they're like, wait, I have an audience or I can create an audience and sell directly to my audience and get 100% profit, right? But what I'm seeing happening is a lot of fresher people coming onto the social media scene with and immediately having a product or service to sell.
Sorry, the puppy.
No. If you're not watching, there's the cutest puppy in the world. You can follow her at My Honey Poo. Her name's Honey. She's so cute. I can't.
Me neither. I want one.
So cute. She's everything. Get it? Okay. So I'm seeing a lot of people like come right onto the social media scene with, a couple thousand followers, and they've got this coaching program or they've got this social, they've got this product or this service, right? But it's like, well, who are you?
Yeah.
Who are you? And now I know that there's going to be a lot of people that might disagree with me, especially coaching programs that are like, you don't need a lot of social media followers. Well, here's the thing. You either need a lot of social media followers or you need to pay for ads. Because if you don't, where's your audience coming from? Where's the traffic coming from? You could have the best product in the world, but if you're not doing either one of those things, literally no one's going to see it or buy it. And so, what the road I took was I built my Instagram. All of my accounts have been built organically, so I haven't paid for ads, although I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. So I was able to sell to my existing audience. If I didn't have that audience and I had a teacher training, what would I do? Right? I would have to get an audience. I need to build trust with someone somewhere. And so you're either paying for that or not. I do think it's possible. I don't think you need hundreds of thousands of followers, 1 million followers to make money online. You need some raving fans. You need a few raving fans that you can continue to market to and that trust you. But that trust has to be built somewhere. You can't just I don't think you can just kind of come onto the scene and be like, I got this great product. I look great. Everything's great. It's like, I just go, well, who are you? And if you can't answer that question, if you haven't took time to build credibility for yourself, I think it's very saturated market, like you're saying.
I totally agree. I think there was like a trick at some point, because I kept seeing people offering online courses like, oh, pay for this course to learn all about this and all about that. And I would always I wouldn't really trust these people because I didn't know them. Did you ever have to struggle with that? Did you ever have people that were like, is your online class or is your training actually good enough? Or, did you ever had that happen to you?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. I almost never, I can't really think of a time. And my, one of the things I've done, I think, well, is I have built an infrastructure. Like if someone comes to me and says, hey, can I see a sample of the video? I have it ready to go. I have a freebie, by the way, anyone can get my 3 sample videos of my teacher training in my website or Linktree from my Instagram page. But yeah, so I have all the freebies for every single one of my courses. So you can actually get a glimpse inside. If someone wants to take a full length class with me, I have a full YouTube channel. Anyone can take so that, if they're brand new to me and they're not sure, I direct them to these places, take a few of my YouTube classes. I'll follow up with links of specific classes that I think would be a good fit for them. And so that is, we in this moment have so much free stuff available to us that we can leverage, like YouTube. So, my YouTube channel wasn't ever, I wasn't using it intending to be a big YouTuber. I was using it as this way of okay, I can send people here or fill in the gaps with these classes on YouTube or whatever. So I would say leverage as many of these free tools as you have as possible.
Yeah. So it was like your online portfolio in a way to showcase your work. Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense of how you can build up the trust with your audience by actually showing them a little bit of what you do.
Exactly. And again, I don't know what other social media experts or coaches would say, but when I look back at the trajectory of my career, I didn't sell anything on Instagram until very recently. So I was on Instagram for years, 5 years, maybe more, building an audience. So I didn't start selling until I had around 100,000 plus followers, right? And on TikTok, I have almost 300,000 followers, and I almost never sell there. And because I'm using the same strategy, I don't want to come onto the TikTok scene and bombard them with stuff. This is just me. I don't know if it's right, but it's working, right? It's I'm building trust. I'm building trust over there with my audience. And then one day they'll eventually buy, they'll reciprocate all of the free value that you give.
I was actually just thinking about TikTok, and I was going to ask you because I feel like you've been having a lot of fun with TikTok. That last video you posted with your friend.
That was so risky for me.
What is going on?
I could take it down. Well, my daughter sent me a trend. And that's not the trend. The video I posted is not the trend. The sound is the trend and the cut.
Okay.
And I was just like, I'm just put this out there. TikTok is, I find, so different than Instagram. And so I'm still experimenting with things. So sometimes I go a little off brand on TikTok, off the yoga education brand that I've built. And, but what has, TikTok's audience is everyone. And on Instagram, it's changing now. It's changing now with Reels, but generally on Instagram, it's been your niche. So for instance, only yoga people really would see my stuff on Instagram. Well, on TikTok, everyone sees your stuff, right? So it's a completely different audience. You're speaking to the masses on TikTok and you're speaking to your community on Instagram. So a lot of the content that has done well for me on TikTok is not necessarily yoga related at all. It's generally like women, like age positivity, when I'm like, I'm 47.
Yeah.
But I can look, I can look good. I can wear a bikini. I can do all the things.
Right. Did anybody say like, no way, like you're lying? Did you get any comments like that?
No. I mean, you definitely deal with more haters over on TikTok, but generally, I remember this one video on TikTok I did that went viral. It was like, I'm in a bikini, I'm doing a handstand. And I'm like, I'm 47. I've had 2 kids. And so I got all these people like, she's a trophy wife. Like just assuming that, and so I made a follow-up video. I was like, actually, I'm a single mom and I work my ass off and So I get comments like that, but.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good point. For people that are starting now, that might be really discouraging. There is a lot of that out there, a lot of assuming and like, I think a lot of times it's hard to share personal things because you don't know how people are going to take that and interpret it. And so I think you've always been really good with balancing that. Like, I think that you mostly are very, very focused on your job and what you're trying to deliver, but you are like really good at finding that balance of like, I also want to show you who I am. Like, I'm not going to hide, but like, I think you are really good at putting some boundaries.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've done a lot of the work on branding. And so I have my own words that I filter through what I choose to post. So that video you're referring to, which it's like for those of you who I'm sure no one has seen it unless you're on my TikTok page right now, is like basically I'm in my underwear. And so even though that seems so far out there, the through line is still that one of my pillars is motivation, and that speaks to a lot of empowerment, right? So it's like empowering, motivating. So it's still like somewhere in that brand. So sometimes I go a little off and test things. But in general, that's how I decide what to post. And everything else, no, you just don't post it. Put it in your stories. You can still share all of, your family and your this and your that and all the pictures you want and everything. But I think that goes into your stories. Otherwise, it clutters your branding and it confuses people. People like consistency. They like familiarity. They like for you to meet their expectations. And when we as creators deviate from that, they tell you,
That's
back to those hater comments though, but when you're like, that's really hard. One of my pieces of advice is, if anything goes viral, just don't even read the comments, because at that point, the people commenting are just commenting. They're just having conversations with each other and it has nothing to do with you. right? When something goes viral, it's way beyond you. So you just don't take it personal. I don't take any of that stuff personal. I do. And I mean that like through my bones. I don't read any of that stuff and take it personal.
Can you describe to us your normal day or week as an entrepreneur, right? As like you are your own boss, you're scheduling when you're gonna film, when you're gonna have new classes or one-on-ones, or you have like festivals and other things you go to and teach. So yeah, can you just describe like a normal routine, and then how do you basically manage everything else that comes up?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, just to give you an example today, it's like, wake up 6:45, take the dog out, get the kids off to school 7:30. Okay. And then at that point, I was like getting my Black Friday email out, like last call Black Friday. My marketing director's on maternity leave right now. So I'm like doing her work right now. So it was like, so basically I hit it running right at 7:30 working, getting the emails out, getting some Instagram stuff done, prepping for, I just finished my last day of a 90-day social media boot camp training that I was leading. So it was like a 2-hour live. So I prepped that, led that, and then had to film a TikTok at my house for a campaign that I'm doing, and then did yoga, worked out, showered up, drove to my studio, came here to do a podcast. So that's kind of like a typical day. It's like, it really doesn't stop for me. I wake up and I generally hit the ground running. Now, if I have space, I do usually, I'll meditate. I spend, I don't want to say daily, but I would say about 4 days a week. I get a solid meditation in the morning. My meditations look very much more like manifesting. So they're very like active meditations of really kind of calling in and connecting with source energy and just getting like lit, and then I'll do a little bit of journaling. But then it's pretty much just go time for me. So my days can be filled with a lot of, surprisingly, there's a lot I do on my computer. So a lot of stuff I'm sitting in front of the computer working on. And then I will schedule time to film content here in what I call it the white box. And yeah, that's kind of just like my day to day. And then it's like editing the content. And, I film my YouTube videos myself. I edit them myself. I film all my social media content myself. If I have high res photographs, it's with the photographer I always work with. But yeah, so it's just like a lot of meetings and content making and just keeping everything going. And then also filling my own cup, like constantly, I'm generally in some kind of online learning thing. Like I'll take a marketing course or something, branding or something like that, just to continue to chip away and build my brand. But in terms of managing that, I think that it can be tough, as you probably know, being your own boss. And when I don't have something scheduled in the studio, or I'm not doing a live, and let's say I have a long day, but I also have a really long list of things to do, it can get a little bit like, whew, okay, where do I go from here? And so, every day I wake up, I have my list of things to do. I prioritize the most important things at the top, and it's just go time. I just go and I do it. And then I also plan out. I don't plan out too far. I plan out a year in advance, because I think if COVID taught us anything, it's like, well, anything can happen, and I have my whole 2023 calendar set in terms of teacher trainings that I'll be leading, and retreats and trips and stuff. And then I try to leave a little bit of space to film new series. And, every week I have to film new content and edit new content. And yeah, I'm not going to lie, it's a lot.
It's a lot. And someone like you're very like talented, like multi-talented. Like you can do your own videos, you can edit your own PDFs and newsletters, and like you're tech savvy and you can do all that, right?
Yeah.
So I think that makes it even more challenging to know when to give away some of that work, right? When to trust to get the help so you can keep focusing on everything else. Like how
Yes.
have you been like dealing with that? And I think that's always very challenging.
Yeah, it is. My first hire was big and I was a risk. I didn't know that the business could afford her, but I took the risk because I wanted her. I had an opportunity where someone I had always wanted to work for me. Suddenly it was COVID and she got laid off. And I was like, if I don't give her a job right now, someone else is going to get her. She's gold.
Mm.
She's my Midas touch. And she's a designer by trade. She's a product designer and graphic designer. And so I hired her and it was really risky, but I said, if well, I shouldn't. What I did, what we did is we tested first. I gave her a project to work on. So I gave her like an ebook to do, and we tested working together because we were also friends. I had also trained her in teacher training. She was concerned about us being friends. And I'm like, look, this is all I do is anyone I like that is my friend, I bring into the fold because I don't have time to socialize really. Right. So I'm like, it's not a problem for me. I want you around. And yeah, we just worked really well together. So it was risky. And so I think anyone that's doing that, when it's time, is when the business is on the up so that you can afford them, right? It's like, okay, the revenue's coming in and you can't do all the work. The other time is when someone could do it better than you, right? So if like Jenny can do all of the graphic design stuff much better than I can do, the ebooks and the email marketing and the web. We completely migrated my website from Squarespace to Kajabi. So the new website is all her. She does a much better job. So I think that, yeah. And for business owners, the ultimate goal is to actually have you completely out. That's the goal, is to have you completely out. Like I'm trying to grow my school so big that other people could potentially one day lead the teacher trainings, right? That there's multiple faculty teaching under my school. So I can keep removing myself a little bit and be the more of this strategy vision person. So I think there's that. So yeah, I have an assistant. She works very part-time. She assists on social media stuff, and she even crosses over she'll do anything, personal assistant, she'll take care of the kids if I need it.
Yeah.
And then I work with Irving Martinez, who's like my main photographer and videographer. I hire him. And then everything else is like consultant or one-off based. So
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you have your little team, but you do a lot. You do a lot by yourself too. It's awesome.
I think it was helpful in the beginning to do everything because like, for instance, when Jenny went on maternity leave, I could do everything,
Right.
because it would have taken way too long to train someone to do what she did. I think that that's always useful. And it's also just useful as a manager to know what your employee or your team member is doing and how long it takes, especially with everyone virtual. Not to sound like I don't trust people, but everyone working from home virtual, they can be telling you, oh, this takes 10 hours.
Right.
But if you've done it before and it only takes 2, then that there's, something up there. So I think it's helpful as a manager to have done some of the work before to know what goes into it.
Yeah, that's so true. So I just wanted to say that I really, really admire like your positivity and like how much you've stayed motivated throughout this whole time. Like there's been so many things that life threw your way and like you kept going and you kept rising. But I'm sure you had those moments that like were pretty discouraging, or you you felt like your lowest, right? What was that thing that motivated you or give you a little bit of strength to say, I'm just going to keep trying. I know I'm in the right path now, right? So like, you know, how did you get out of this funk to get going?
Yeah, I think that it's really key for those struggling. We might be tempted to look outside of us for answers and ask for advice here and there, but I really think if you settle and are quiet, whether you meditate or not, if you just sit kind of with yourself and feel what's actually happening, what's going on there, your intuition will start to speak to you and help guide you. I really do think that it's certainly been that way for me. The other thing that has really helped me, I will say one of my number one character trait from, all those different personality tests you do is perseverance. So it's kind of like ingrained in me to have obstacles come my way and then persevere, right? I probably invite them in just so I can overcome them. No, but one of the big shifts for me, Sonia, that didn't happen until my late 30s during that time period when I was home with my daughter. Especially being a young actress in LA, I relied so much on what other people thought of me. And I was constantly looking for that outward validation. Like booking a job was like the ultimate validation. It's like, oh yes, they like me. Someone wants to hire me for this job. And once I started to become my own cheerleader, for lack of a better word, and I remember it happening during this year of just, I remember having these conversations where I was looking back now, I was basically just pumping myself up. I would be like, oh, you've been teaching yoga for 10 years. No one around here probably has been teaching yoga for 10 years. Oh, you got trained in LA. No one around here got, like, you're really unique. You've really got something to offer. And I would just like kind of pump myself up. And that became so much louder than all the negativity and all the needing to get outside validation, that it just kind of continued to grow. So it's just a part of my way I speak to myself. Sure, I could look in the mirror and see all my flaws, but I don't. I'm like, you slay, girl. You are crushing it. You wake up every day. You work your ass off. You're supporting your two girls, and I just constantly like tell myself and remind myself these things. And that has built confidence. And I was never confident before. I don't think I was really ever truly confident. And now I feel truly confident. And I think a lot of everything that I've done comes from that confidence. So I think that's the other thing is like, ask yourself, am I looking for outside validation? Be real with yourself. And if you are, start that process of just talking to yourself in a different way and pumping yourself up, because someone else, I see it with I have a 14-year-old. I can be over here pumping her. You're so pretty. You're so this, you're so that. It doesn't matter if she doesn't feel good about herself. Right. So yeah, it's like, it all just keeps circling back to like, it's what's within you. That's so important.
Yeah. That's so powerful and so true.
Yeah.
It's just, sometimes it's hard to tap in. So it's like a practice, keep practicing to keep trying to reconnect.
Yeah. And it's like, make it a must, make it a priority. The last thing I'll say about this is, as hard as it was to be kind of feel like I was left on my own during the pandemic and with the kids and the separation of my family and business and everything, as hard as that was, honestly, if it wasn't for that, I don't think I'd be doing what I'm doing now, because I had to. My why is so strong now. Like at this point, it's all for my kids. Like I have to, I have to be successful. There's no other choice. I have to. So making your why you do things really strong. And like, it's like Tony Robbins says, make it a must. If it's not a must, you probably won't put that much work into it. If your life isn't on the line, you probably won't put that much effort into it. Like you've got to have a strong drive.
Yeah. Yeah. And you do.
Mic drop.
I love that. Okay, so tell us, where are you planning your next retreats? The 2023. Give us all the juicy details.
Yeah. So I've got Greece. If you would like to join me in Santorini and Crete, Greece, in May 2023. We've got this is like if you want a luxury retreat. This is it. Okay, we're staying at like 5-star luxury resorts, and it's going to be just so amazing.
Both Santorini and Crete.
We are, yeah. We put together both.
How many days?
That one is 7 nights, 8 days. That's, I think, one of my longest retreats. Yeah, because of the 2 locations. So you'll get the full Greece experience.
Awesome. Yeah.
And I've got my 200-hour yoga teacher training starts January. You can still apply to that if you want to become a yoga teacher. If you're already a yoga teacher, I have my advanced 300-hour teacher training starts in March. And then I'm looking into doing my first since COVID live destination teacher training potentially in the summer. Potentially in Bali. Yeah.
In Bali.
Yes.
Wow.
I know.
Awesome. Oh my God. I hope you do that. That's amazing.
You going to come? You going to meet me there?
Yeah, I need to now. I need to. If you do it, I have to. That's awesome.
Yes.
Wow. Oh, it's exciting. All right. So I can't wait to share this out to the world. Thank you so much, Cathy.
You're welcome.
I'm not sure how you felt about this interview, but Cathy's wisdom helped me see my own value with a different set of eyes. Hearing about her story, her determination, and seeing how far she's grown inspires me to keep going and staying focused on my path with no more distractions. One other thing I'm also taking away from Cathy is how crucial it is to be your own cheerleader and see the value that you have to offer based on your experiences and knowledge, with a reminder that each and every one of us is so unique. Finally, as Cathy said, when are we going to stop looking for outward validation and focus inwards? To learn more about Namaste City and this podcast, please visit namastecitylife.com and feel free to drop us a message by visiting the Contact Us page. You can follow Namaste City on Instagram or Facebook. If you have not already done so, please go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Thanks for listening to No More Distractions by Namaste City, hosted by me, Sonia. Today's episode guest was Cathy Madeo from Cathy Madeo Yoga, where she has produced 9 online yoga series and thousands of people practice with Cathy all over the world. You can connect with her through her personal Instagram account at Cathy Madeo Yoga. The audio production of this episode was done by NuEarth at NuEarth Studios.